Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Butterflies Podcast. This week we have a special guest, Ava, who is doing research on how to better support Turner syndrome patients who just recently got diagnosed and in the future for her AP research class. And she's going to be sharing what she's found so far and what inspired her to do this project. I will hand it over to her now.
So, what inspired me to do this project is that I was diagnosed when I was 8 years old, and most of the information that I got about Turner syndrome and what was really going on with me is actually from my mom because she's a nurse, and she did a lot of research on her own after I was diagnosed. And I wouldn't necessarily say I was well informed necessarily by my doctors, and I was just very curious to see if other kids were if other kids were, like going through the same things and same experiences as me. And for my AP research project, I knew straight off the bat before I even took the class that my research project was going to be on Turner syndrome.
That is so cool. And just a side note, my mom's also a nurse.
Oh yeah, it's like I think being a nurse, like shout out to nurses because that just seems it's such a hard job, and there's so much that goes into being a nurse, and I just have so much respect for nurses.
Yeah, I agree. My endo nurse is fantastic. She's the one who who told me what to do to get growth hormone because insurance was being a fucking dick, and I was so sick of it.
Dude, my dad had a fight for my growth hormone, and we were constantly switching insurances because of it. I can still remember those nightmare calls. I think he legitimately terrified the receptionist.
Oh my god, yes. Like, I remember getting my growth hormone, my mom, she would have to call in because they wouldn't drop my medicine off. And like, I think it came with like 6 cartridges in like each package. So then I literally ran out and I didn't take my growth hormone for like a month. Like,
Okay,
it was so bad.
My parents really had to fight for my growth hormones too, and I don't know how many times I had to change it. Like, I would remember always getting like a new shop because we had to just like insurances because certain insurances wouldn't pay for it anymore. Like, it really sucks.
Yeah.
Dude,
And the long calls that have happened because of it. Like, I remember hearing my mom yell a couple of times on the phone fighting with
I don't think I had that many issues with it, so this is interesting.
Yeah.
Dude, Grace, the same thing happened to me. So, Ava, for context, I was diagnosed with Turner syndrome at birth, and my parents, they were immediately like, get her all the tests, like whatever medication she needs, we're getting it. And they put me on growth hormone, but I was constantly switching between 2 insurances and 2 different types of growth hormone, Humnotrope and Omnitrope, because the insurance would stop carrying it. And then
I've only been on one, and it's Genotropin.
Oh.
Yeah, so
I
that
took
sucks so much. Because, like, I would finally get used to one growth hormone, and then I would have to change it, and I was just like...
Oh my god. My parents, there would be one time where they completely, like, sold an old shot needle, and then we switched back to that insurance. So they just started keeping the old stuff because they didn't know when I was gonna switch back again.
All right, Ava, do you want to tell us a little more about what you have found out so far?
Of course. So far, I would say I've had about 10, 11 interviews. And
wait, that's so cool. I didn't know you had that many people so far.
Yeah, and honestly, the more the merrier. So, like, if any of you guys want to do it, I'll be happy to interview you guys.
Do you want me to also put your Instagram in the caption for this episode so people can contact you?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I would be happy to interview. I actually interviewed someone from my community group in Colorado a couple of weeks ago because he wanted to doing a similar project. And I would be happy to do an interview again with you.
You know, that seems so cool. But, yeah, and so far, out of all the interviews, I found, like, one big similarity in all of them, and that it's doctors are not well informed about Turner syndrome, and that leads to, like, that leads to people feeling like left with unanswered questions, left confused, left scared because they don't know what's really going on with them and what this means for their life, because Turner syndrome, as all of you know, obviously it affects your life for literally the rest of your life, and they don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah, I remember getting diagnosed by an intern and my pediatrician or primary, and they had no idea what to do. They just were like, get her these tests, send her to an endo. And I had like no resources for like a straight 2 months and didn't know what to do. And I made the mistake of Googling it.
Dude, that's okay. So I was diagnosed because I have lymphedema, and it's basically a problem with the feet, common with Turner syndrome, blah, 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 blah. That was the only thing the doctor saw when I was born. This dude took a look at my feet and he was like, she could possibly have Turner syndrome. And like, my dad had no idea what to do. He was like, oh my god, I don't know what this is. And he went to the library because it was 2007. Like, the internet wasn't as big as it is now. And what he read terrified him, because the only thing you're going to see with conditions like Turner syndrome is the worst case scenarios. So you're going to be incredibly, incredibly ill-informed. And what he read freaked him out because he didn't know jack shit. And what he did see terrified him.
Yeah, no, I've heard that from a couple people. Yeah, and what happened with my doctors, so my pediatrician, my mom knew something was wrong, people told us stuff was wrong, but my pediatrician, I think, knew someone with TS, and I don't have a web neck. A web neck is a fairly common symptom for those of you listening who don't know, and I don't have that. And he was like, she doesn't have a web neck, she doesn't have tones. And my mom, like, had, like, my gut instinct mom feeling, and, like, was pushing and pushing for me to get tested, even though he was like, no, it doesn't. So then when he called and he was like, hey, so I have some news, and she was like, yeah, I know already. So, like, yeah, it's interesting because the doctors just don't know a lot of the time.
Had done a similar thing after I was diagnosed. Except I was diagnosed when I was 6, so internet was a bigger thing by that point. And my mom searched on the internet what Turner syndrome was, and it came up with like the worst case scenarios for her. Like, they showed the worst case scenarios, like what they look like, what health issues they would have, and it freaked her out, and she ended up crying. She told me.
Exactly. Dude, even if whoever's listening, I implore you to look up Turner syndrome right now. And it's still going to be the same today. You are going to get the worst, absolute worst case scenarios.
Yeah, bro, I remember. It's like a core memory now. I remember getting home on that Tuesday night. Wait, I think it was a Monday night. I remember getting home on that Monday night after my doctor's appointment. It was like 5 o'clock. I Googled Turner syndrome on my phone and clicked images, and that, I think, is the worst mistake I have made in my entire life.
I would say I was lucky in the sense that I was 8, and I don't even remember what my mom thought. Like, I just remember the day before, the nurse was supposed to come to like give me my Omnitrope for the first time, and that's when my mom told me. And the only disease that I knew of at the time, because obviously I was only 8 years old, was cancer, and I thought I was going to die, and I was so scared. And it's like, I feel like doctors should like inform parents as well, because I feel like my mom wasn't as informed, and I think if she was, she would have been able to explain it to me better, and I wouldn't be thinking I was dying.
Yeah, I was so scared. I was like just sitting on the couch being like, what the hell is going to go wrong with me? Like, when is this all going to happen?
Exactly. Like, even maybe, I feel like awareness is also so big because, like, for people with mosaic Turners, like, not everything, like, they might not have all the symptoms. They might, like, you looking at them, you might not even know. Like, you might not even know. And if doctors were more informed, they could see those little signs. And, like,
people can get help earlier. Like,
exactly,
for me, I should have been starting growth hormone when I was 5. instead of 14. Like,
Well,
I mean, 15.
I think I did actually talk about that with my dad because at Turner Syndrome Camp, I talked to another girl named Nia. She had multiple symptoms, multiple signs, and the doctors did not test her. Meanwhile, I only had one symptom and I got tested. I think part of the reason why is like doctors, they have to learn about so many medical conditions and so many abnormalities that it boggles up. They are not going to remember the uncommon ones. And you have to get lucky with a doctor that is able to make those connections, that is able to connect the dots.
Yeah,
Because
like
a lot
that
of the
intern
I
I met.
legit was diagnosed by like a student doctor. Like even my own doctor that I had at the time did not know what Turner syndrome was. It was legit a student doctor.
I got
And
diagnosed by an
when they
intern.
told my parents they thought I could have it, they didn't tell them really anything, which is why my mom ended up searching it up. Like it's insane how uneducated some doctors actually are.
Yeah, I got diagnosed by intern as well.
I think I actually did talk about your story to my dad, Greta, and he was probably like, yeah, maybe because she learned about it recently, so those connections were formed in her brain.
Yeah, that's what happened with mine too. She had legit learned about it in like a class what Turner syndrome was, and she saw my heart and she was like, "That looks like a Turner syndrome heart."
Exactly. I think part of it is like, again, like doctors are so boggled down with case after case, like abnormality after abnormality. By the time they like finish residency and all that, they forget. And it's a lot of the times it's not their fault. It's their fault when they see sign after sign after sign and the parent is telling the doctor that something's wrong and they just ignore it.
There was actually a case of like one of the women I was interviewing, and when she was born, like you can tell there was something like there was something wrong with her, and like she had a hole in her heart, and she thinks it was due to having Turner syndrome, and the doctor was like, no, she's okay, and she almost died because the doctor wouldn't help, and the doctor literally called her mom a crazy woman.
First of all, I'm gonna find that doctor and he's gonna have a talk with me later.
No, exactly.
And second of all, my cousin also has Turner's, but the thing about her is like she is not getting tested for anything. I don't even know how she got diagnosed, but part of it is her dad. I'm not going to get into it, but she has not gotten tested for anything. She has not taken any medication whatsoever. And I'm just like, that is dangerous. Like,
That's scary to even think about.
I know, like Turner syndrome is just, it's for a lot of cases it isn't world ending. Like in terms of Turner syndrome, I am very incredibly lucky, and I acknowledge that, but not everybody is going to be the same. It is a roll of the dice to see where the hell you land.
Yeah, like honestly, one example with one thing that can be deadly with Turner syndrome is, I think, the heart conditions, and I'm very lucky that they caught my heart in time when they did, or else I could have been in great danger, honestly. And also, yeah, I still find it so interesting that your cousin had Turner syndrome. Like they say, Turner syndrome isn't genetic, but like hearing about that, it makes me wonder.
I'm thinking maybe like some families can be at a generally higher risk for it, but it cannot be genetic. But part of it is I have no idea who messed me up. I don't know if it was my mom or my dad. So I don't know, because if it was my mom, then I feel like there could be a chance that it's genetic. But if it was my dad, then I don't know. Again, it's a completely random roll of the dice.
Yeah, I looked into that, and I think it has to mostly be the dad, just because, like, if the mom's the one who didn't give an X, then we would only have a Y. So, like, we would have, and with females, so, like, both of them would have had to give an X, and then if one of them, actually, no, I guess that could go either way. I don't know. AP Bio's got me thinking about all this kind of stuff, guys. It's bad.
Yeah. Wait, quick question I have for Ava. If you don't mind me asking, how were you diagnosed again?
To be honest, I'm not sure. My mom has never actually told me that story. And I've actually never asked, to be honest, so that might be my fault, but I'm definitely going to ask her. I'm pretty sure, though, is because, like, I'm kind of like Sophia in the sense that health-wise, I don't really have anything going on health-wise. And the only reason why I think they even found out I have Turner syndrome is because of my height. Like, I have a younger brother. He's only 2 years younger than me. But when I was younger, he was growing and I was just staying the same height. And he like towered over me. And I was like 7, 8 years old. And he was like 5. So I think my mom was a little concerned and she asked what was going on.
I'd ask your mom.
Yeah, definitely.
That
But
would be, I'm curious how you got diagnosed.
I'm pretty sure that's how, though. But I'll definitely confirm.
Dude, that's kind of opposite from my dad. He never really hid it from me. Like, from the second I was born, he was like, "Oh yeah, you're messed up, my child. Deal with that. Bye."
Yeah, my mom never really hid it from me either.
I
Honestly.
wouldn't say my mom was hiding it from me. I just don't think. I feel like she's told me a long time ago, but I've just never really asked her recently.
What I was going to say is that I kind of I relate a little bit to Ava in a sense that I haven't really asked about the story of how I was diagnosed with Turner syndrome. All I really know is that I was diagnosed when I was 2 years old, and that's something I still need to ask them. But I don't know if you can tell, but guys, I got sick again, so I don't know what's going on. So
Why are you
having
always
Turner syndrome is so fun.
Nat, why are you always getting sick?
I don't
You're
know.
worse than Aspen, and they have the actual immune issue.
Guys, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, you poor thing. That's awful.
Words, final thoughts, final thingies.
Oh yeah, I was actually just gonna ask if you guys had any questions about like my project.
Oh, I'm the one who was texting you today and was like, sorry I haven't talked to my parents. So by the way, hi, that's me.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you.
So yeah, I'll get back to you eventually.
Yeah, literally just let me know before the 20th because like where I live, winter break starts like I think literally the 19th. No, not the 19th, but like that, like the week, like next
Wait.
week.
Winter break.
Yeah.
Oh,
You don't
really?
do you have a spring break?
Yeah, so basically it's like we have the fall break and then we have Christmas. We call it the holiday break. And then we have winter break, which is next week is the last week, and then we have a whole week off. And then we have spring break and then summer break.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't have any snow days.
Alright, guys, this doesn't have a purpose. Let's
Oh,
finish
yeah.
out.
So yeah, I was gonna say like, does anybody have any questions about my project before it's over? I'll be happy to answer.
Not, but I would love to do an interview with you, Ava.
Yeah, of course.
Me too.
same.
Me too.
But yeah, I'd say my final words would be, again, thank you for allowing me to be on this podcast. Like, this podcast is, again, just really cool. And I respect what you guys are doing. And I just think it's so amazing that you guys are bringing awareness.
We really appreciate you being here. This is a really important thing to talk about.
Of course.
Exactly.
Of course.
yeah, for sure.
All right. We will see you guys next week for another episode.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.